the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD has released a total of 59.52 million pesos to 25,225 recipients of educational assistance across the country. JC Ogaire has the full report.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD has released a total of 59.52 million pesos to 25,225 recipients of educational assistance across the country. According to DSWD Assistant Secretary Romel Lopez, 27.39 million pesos of the total was given to 6,848 beneficiaries who were college or vocational students, 11.148 million pesos to 3,716 beneficiaries who were senior high school students, and 12.625 million pesos to 6,300 other beneficiaries. Lopez added that 8.355 million pesos of the total amount for educational assistance went to 8,355 elementary students who were the other recipients. The official described the distribution of educational assistance payout nationwide as generally peaceful and orderly. For Golden Nation Network, this is JC Ogaire.
In other developments, the Land Transportation Office or LTO admitted that the backlog in the release of license plates has reached 11,514,050. The Department of Transportation proposed a funding of 6.8 billion pesos for its production, but only 4.7 billion pesos was approved by the Department of Budget and Management. Representatives from the lower house also call on the government to allocate enough funding for the plate production, noting that this has been affecting the apprehension efficiency of traffic violators. Meanwhile, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB announced that a 5,000 pesos fine will be imposed on violators of the limit for the standing passengers on public utility vehicles or PUVs. Natalie Danganan has the full story.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB announced that violators of the standing passenger limit on public utility vehicles or PUVs will face a 5,000 pesos fine. LTFRB board member Mercy Jane Paras Lanes stressed that a maximum number of standing passenger has been set for every PUV. In a statement, she said anyone who will caught violating or exceeding the number of maximum passengers or disregarding the public health protocols will have to pay a fine of 5,000 pesos for the violation of their franchise terms. Meanwhile, based on Memorandum Circular Number 2022-070, public utility bus or PUBs and modern public utility jeepneys or MPUJs, Class 2 will be allowed to have standing passengers subject to the following conditions. For low-entry, low-floor PUBs, only a maximum of 15 standing passengers are allowed with at least one person apart. For coach-type PUBs, only a maximum of 10 standing passengers are allowed with at least one person apart. For MPUJ's Class 2, only a maximum of 5 standing passengers are allowed with at least one person apart. Lanes, however, reiterated that LTFRB may still change its measures depending on the development of the COVID-19 situation in the country. For Golden Nation Network, this is Natalie Danganan.
In another story, the Supreme Court or SC has decided to expedite the resolution of its temporary restraining order or TRO that stopped the implementation of the No Contact Apprehension Policy or NCAP for traffic violations in several cities in Metro Manila. Last August 30, the SC stopped temporarily the implementation of NCAP on 2 petitions since petitioners in the first case are pushing that the implementation of NCAP is unconstitutional and invalid. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court scheduled a preliminary conference on the 2 cases on November 4, 2022. The Subscriber Identity Module or SIM Card Registration Act, Senate Bill 1310, was approved during the Senate's 25th regular session. Chair of the Committee on Public Services, Senator Grace Poe, thanked her 19 colleagues for supporting the legislation. Senator Pia Cayetano and Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Pimentel III were also mentioned for their pertinent amendments. Telecommunication companies or telcos will be tasked to protect subscribers' personal information under the regulation of the Department of Information and Communications Technology. In a related story, the Philippines' biggest telecommunications companies, Globe Telecom, PLDT Smart, and Dito Telecommunity, said they are ready to cooperate with authorities as the Senate and the House of Representatives both passed their versions of the SIM registration bill. It is also expected that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will sign the measure soon. A similar law was passed by lawmakers before it was vetoed by former President Rodrigo Duterte. To provide relief to solo parents amid the rising prices of basic commodities, the implementing rules and regulations of Republic Act 11861 or the expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act has been signed. Here's the full details. Secretary of Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD Erwin Tulfo led the ceremonial signing of the Implementing Rules and Regulations or IRR of the Republic Act 11861 or the Expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act. The ceremony was graced by Malasakit at Bayanihan Party List Representative Anthony Goles Jr. and House Assistant Minority Leader and Gabriela Party List Representative Arlene Brosas. According to Representative Brosas, the law will bring much relief to solo parents around the country. The IRR of the Expanded Solo Parents Welfare Act, which is seen to provide relief amid the rising prices of basic commodities, grants a 1,000 pesos monthly cash subsidy to a solo parent who is earning minimum wage and below. It also provides a 10% discount and value-added tax or VAT exemption on milk, diapers, and other medicines for children, as well as expands the definition of a solo parent to cover legal guardian and a relative caring for a child. DSWD Secretary Erwin Tulfo also emphasized that the financial aid and discount would be of great help to solo parents.
Sabi ng katabi ko, solo parent kanina, sabi niya, maski hindi na nga 1,000, basta kahit 500, basta makatulong doon sa solo parent, mga mahihirap. Because it means a lot to them, yung mga mahihirap na solo parents, to buy milk or buy diaper or buy food for their child or for their children. So, I think we really have to make a law out of this. And Congresswoman Brosas promised me na, sige, pagtulungan natin, Sec. Erwin. And probably I can ask other people from Congress and Senate to help us out here para gawin na talagang isang batas yung pagbibigay ng cash assistance sa mga solo parents.
With this, Representative Brosas added that proper implementation of the regulation will be ensured. For Golden Nation Network, this is Jasmine Cacho. The Department of Tourism or DOT is set to launch the construction of 10 tourist service areas across the country next month. During a meeting with business leaders in New York, where President Marcos Jr. held a working visit, Tourism Secretary Cristina Garcia Frasco announced the groundbreaking of the 10 tourist service areas, which is part of the agency's strategies for tourism development. Garcia Frasco highlighted that the tourist rest areas would contain clean restrooms, which she described as the most basic aspect of travel. She also added that there were 3 tourist areas in Luzon, 5 in Visayas, and 2 in Mindanao. Meanwhile, aside from clean and decent restrooms, it would also feature a lounge, complete information on tourist destinations, and pasalubong centers. And here's a recap of today's headlines. Here are today's headlines. DOH says eased face mask rule among causes of increasing COVID-19 cases. Fuel prices slashed down on its 4th week. Pag-asa aims for modernization for better weather forecasting. LTFRB to impose 5,000 pesos fine for violators of standing passenger limits. Senate approves SIM card registration bill. DOT to launch tourist service areas across the Philippines on October. Fair and balanced news. Comprehensive reports that will take you to the heart of the action. This is News Force. And those were the top stories of the week. Stay updated on the day's biggest stories. Get updates on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Golden Nation Network. I am Jasmine Cacho, and this is News Force Weekend.